Did I ask spraying our weeds? What?
Yeah,
Good
it was
job.
nice out
It was.
You mowed yesterday.
yesterday and Sunday.
I was just saying, did you go
Or
down this
Sunday.
weekend?
Sunday, so you mowed.
yeah.
Did we have any?
Yeah, you had protesters Saturday.
He said he was gonna mow Saturday and blow it on.
If it was like Sunday, I would have, but it was cold
What
Saturday.
are they protesting?
Everything.
Yep.
Trump, basically.
All right,
So,
we're
yeah.
live.
All right, let's get at it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Myron wants to scratch off the purchase agreements. We already did that in March. So that's on the agenda change.
On number 14?
Yep, it's that, on the 54th Street, Cedar Township.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda then, scratching the approval agreement?
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda with the removal of the purchase agreement under number 14.
I'll second.
Okay, call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Team and I,
Bulls, aye.
we have an agenda. Okay, do you fellers happen to look at the minutes?
I did. I didn't notice anything, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Tippit, aye.
Team and I,
Bulls, aye.
okay. Discuss appointment of Ronnie Fry, Monroe
Yep.
Township Clerk.
If you recall, we did that back in, I think it was February, but we listed it as a trustee. And she's gonna be the clerk, so in order for the bank to get her on the bank statements and stuff, we need to correct our minutes to reflect that.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to correct the minutes showing Ronnie Fry as a township clerk versus a township trustee.
I'll second that.
okay, call for a vote on that one.
Tippit, aye.
Team and I,
Bulls, aye.
Thank you.
we're going through these. Only got about 3 minutes. Barb, let's go ahead and do yours, 9:05.
I'd like to set a land use hearing for Kevin and Susan Hagan for Tuesday, June 3rd at 9:15.
Anything?
Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to set the land use hearing for Kevin and Susan Hagan, Tuesday, June 3rd at 9:15.
I'll second that.
Call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Team and I,
Bulls, aye.
perfect. All right.
The water line first?
Sure.
Okay. I got, since we had problems with our water line, Tracy had me contact somebody about cost to replace it. If you guys want.
But them guys are.
Oh, did you want?
That's fine.
Thank you. Is this the one out here?
First year that I was a supervisor, it blew right on the curb out here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the big discussion come in that the city of Benton says it's our water line, it's not theirs. It taps in over there a block east of us at the bus barn,
Okay.
underneath the street. So we got, basically a block to get it here. Well, I tried with the city if we couldn't bring it, trench it through our property along the bus barn and get it over here.
Mhm.
They said absolutely not, it's gotta stay in the street. Well, I don't wanna tear that street up, that we'd have to
Redo it though.
Yes. So I had
We
Rick contact somebody that's gonna bore this.
Yeah,
Oh.
board up here.
So we have basically the hole where they're gonna tap in on the main. down
Yeah,
there.
because they have to open the road up anyway to disconnect the old main, so
Yeah,
they'll just
so I would
retap.
think the city should maybe stand for that, I don't know,
Right.
haven't discussed that far, but I just wanted it out in the open. We dropped close to $7,000, I'd
It's
say, in
almost
the
eight.
last two patches.
Just to fix the leaks.
That's two leaks, and we
Okay.
just had one here in February,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, when it was really
That was
cold.
3,000 something.
Yeah.
So I mean, we got $7,000 in an old line, and I seen it, I didn't see it this last time, but I did see it 5 years ago. That cast iron is pitted so bad, I mean, it just,
So it's another
It's-
leak waiting to happen.
Yeah.
You said-
correct.
It's just that you can keep patching it, or you, what was it, 17,000 just to get a board up here.
So I'm just kinda throwing this out here to bring you guys up to date while we're going. I had Rick contact somebody
Yeah.
on this.
Okay.
I have not asked Haley where we could come up with the money, whose budget, whether we gotta wait till,
We still have money in that capital projects for that 1551 from when we bought this building.
okay,
I
how
think
much
it's
is in
got
there?
78 or 80,000.
Oh, we do?
So there's spending authority for that,
And then
out of both fiscal years.
this cost here is just to get it to the building, then I gotta pay somebody, because when they bore it, they gotta come up, they'll come up in one of the tunnels along the south wall.
Cause it's not deep enough.
Oh,
See,
And then-
there's you explain it.
Well, that tunnel system runs along the outside wall. It's about 4 foot wide, 3 foot deep. And for them to get the boring machine up in there, they gotta catch the south wall. They'll come in straight up, break a hole in the floor where the head comes up to pull the line back through. But then I gotta plumb from there, hire somebody to plumb 2-inch water line around to where the meter sits right now, which is in the food bank area. So there'll be more cost than just that.
yeah,
but-
this is just the boring to get to the.
Yeah.
Get it to it.
And get the holes cut to get the new pipe in and that, so.
The only question I have, Rick, they're gonna tap that into 3-inch line.
No, they're tapping that main.
Yeah, but where would the city have a shut off then? Would they have it out?
They're gonna put a shut off down there, kind of Michael John's corner, that house down here on the corner. They're gonna have it in the parking there. Is where they talked about the shut off. That way it was closer to the main down there.
Okay,
That's just what he said he would do, so.
okay,
Otherwise, it's gotta come up by that tree
yeah.
out there, and I don't want it there, so,
Are we the only ones on that line, or are there others?
yes,
They say we're the only ones on.
Yep.
So I don't know.
yeah, we are. Cause the house on the corner just had its own line put in, a new one put in this winter too, but it's tapped off in different spots, so.
So it's one of these sideline projects I've been trying to work on,
Mhm.
but I kinda dumped it on Rick now, and
But there's no way I'll probably get it done this fiscal year, so.
Not in the fiscal, by the time we get Matt to, unless you wanna get more bids on it, so. This was just from Schminke.
well, he patched it
Mhm.
this time.
He- Yeah,
And the last time was Pickering.
yeah.
I don't think Derek don't have a boring machine.
Well, either one of them they both hire somebody to come and run the boring
Yeah.
machine.
So we're nearing half the cost already in repairs.
Mhm.
But if we want it done this year, you're gonna have to get on somebody's list. So,
What do you mean, before July?
no, if you want it done in this whole year,
Oh, okay.
basically, it won't get done for fiscal, they're all booked up right now.
Okay. If we've already spent that much on repairs, I would see no reason we wouldn't have to spend more on repairs.
Yeah, it's
If the
looking
lines
at
are in
that
bad shape.
already.
Okay, get a motion?
I would make a motion, we need to, get this water line fixed here coming into the building.
Give Rick permission to,
Yep.
I'll get a hold of Matt.
Permission to get it all set up.
okay?
We'll get it going.
Did you only put discuss on there?
Yeah, you only
Oh,
put
that's
discuss.
right, that's
so.
right, okay.
Well, we'll approve it in a week.
Well, yeah, put it on next week.
Put it on the agenda.
All right. Now, the other thing we did get on it for approval, don't we?
Yeah, I gotta
Okay.
get Lex's air conditioning.
Yep.
The recorder's office air conditioner needs replaced. I know it's bad timing, but it was one of the last original put in like 96 or 7. And the blower's going bad in the one, we can't replace it, so we need to replace the whole unit. It's a mini split. But I got 2 quotes on that. You want both quotes?
Yeah.
Robbie came in they're about $651 cheaper than Edwards. And neither one of them do good work. But, what was that? One was 7,000.
681.
681, the other was 8,335, I think. They're both pretty much same unit, other than just different brands.
Is that the new refrigerant?
The one from Robbie's the new refrigerant, the one from Edwards is still got 410.
Is the price of that gonna be going up because of it's no longer gonna be used?
It'll be like the
It's like the
R22,
Yeah.
they'll just keep up on the price of it every year till they make it obsolete.
Because you can't afford to put
Yeah.
in new.
Yep. But it takes quite a few years for them to
Yeah.
get to that point.
But Robbie's is the new stuff,
Yep,
R32?
the flammable refrigerant, we call it.
Well, this is the time to do it versus doing it in the summer when everybody wants one.
And I got money for this fiscal to do it, so I can get it in for the fiscal's up, so.
Yeah.
So I'd make a motion to accept the bid from Robbie Hardware to update the air conditioning.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Call for a vote.
Tippit, aye?
Seaman, aye.
Bull's eye.
All right.
I'll put that in one for formal approval.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
They have copies of all that in their packet.
Hi, Kyle Hellenham, Engineering, excuse me. Before you have a final plat of Harbor Road addition. I don't know if you recall, you approved a preliminary plat. Was that last fall? I think the
Yeah,
preliminary plat was
that's-
last fall.
I put
You
it
did
in the
You
resolution.
did get a variance, I think it was in July for hard surface road
Yep.
to the property, and then you approved a preliminary plat a couple of months later, so we're just here finalizing the project. Everything's in place, the road was in place prior when we did the preliminary plat. We're just wanting to have final approval so they can hopefully start construction on 1 or 2 of the lots this year.
I had a question, Kyle. Were you going to submit some covenants? I did not see that in your packet.
I didn't look through the deed of dedication real close, but I can.
Yeah, if there was something that they need to put together, I know it's family and friends, but it is
There should be, and I'll
required.
make that recommendation to
Thank
the
you.
attorney that they should put together just a standard,
Exactly.
address that.
Yep, thank you. everything else is in order, and Haley's done the resolution, and it's ready to be signed.
So if you want to sign it, probably at least 2 of those. If you approve it, we'll get you, I'll sign on that form.
I would make the, better ask this. Motion first.
Everything's in order then, Barb?
It is,
Yes.
except I don't have the covenants, but he's gonna get those.
And this is the one that the 2 brothers and a friend were gonna do?
Exactly.
Yep.
Got it. Got it. Come back to memory now.
Yep,
All right, I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2532, approving the final plat for the Carver Road addition to Benton County, Iowa.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, call for a vote by name.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Rolls, aye. I need 2 copies signed.
yes, please.
You guys got them? Okay.
You have all this stuff then, Kyle, you don't need this?
There's one.
I don't need that. I just need the plat sign and then the resolution.
All right, we'll give you those 2.
Thank you.
It's the way.
Would you want me to have a draft covenant? No.
Could you do that, so I could just look it
Sure.
over?
Sure.
Yeah,
I'll have him hold off on recording, just to make sure.
just
he
so,
can have a chance
yeah,
to
because he's
review it.
gonna have to have them anyway, so that'd work out good.
Okay.
Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you.
Okay, number 8, discuss and approve abate taxes on parcel 280.
So that sliver was owned by the county on some kind of a tax certificate. If you hold on just a second. So we're just kind of cleaning that up.
Is that the $20?
Yeah. See the, oh wait, let me see which one this one is.
What exactly is that?
280 would be, what township is that? My email's being goofy. You jinxed me. Asking me to reboot. Was that what yours asked you?
Mine just said, mine would say it was connected and then it would just disconnect.
I think they maybe need to reboot the server
Well,
here.
and we might have to do that in your computer too, so.
I just did mine, and then we started the meeting, so I started it up again, so,
I shut that off.
yeah.
Okay, so this was a condemnation commission thing, that little piece was owned by the county because it was for construction and improvement along the highway, so it was just a little sliver,
Okay,
so that's why we need to abate it and clean it up for $20.
okay. We're gonna get a motion for the resolution 25-3.
I would make a motion for resolution, to accept resolution 2533 to abate the taxes on parcel number 280-01390 for $20.
Can I get a second?
I'll give a second.
Okay, call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Rolls, aye.
All right, so while Shelby's here, and the sheriff, before we have the next timed item, we want to kind of give you an opioid committee update that we did discuss last week. The number one thing we're hearing about is the problem for transportation for like inmates that are being released from the jail, like they have no vehicle, they have no gas money. family members to come give them a ride. So with some of the opioid funds, it would be approved use if we could get your approval, kind of like we've done with witness fees in the past. We just need to get some cash out of the account and then disperse it. So like Shelby could have that cash to give out as needed, but then provide us receipts after the fact. You know, when it comes up, say it's 4 o'clock on a Thursday, we can't just cut a check for her to give them cash. And what did we say the amount we were gonna do?
Well, so I took it back and I talked to the sheriff and the chief deputy. I don't know if cash is the best idea.
Okay.
Because a lot of the cabs, like the services, they're gonna want a card on file. I don't think they're going to travel all the way out here in hopes that they get paid. I think, you know, historically, when we've called, they've wanted a card on file. And so that's why we wanted to come today, just to see if there's a way we can get the funds and then get a debit card, or, I don't know.
Okay.
Just curious on thoughts about that, because it is inmates getting out of the jail, but it's also people just show up here at random times, and they don't really have a destination. We don't know where they came from, and a lot of times it's the late nights, it's weekends, and so we need a quick fix. And to tie it back to the opioid settlement funds, what we would like to do is offer a ride to the Access Center in Cedar Rapids, where they can get mental health treatment, substance abuse treatment, just as a way to tie it back, so that way we're using those funds correctly. We can't always give people those rides. You know, if we're talking somebody's in Vinton, sometimes they only have one car out. Our deputies are often tied up. If somebody's all the way down in Belle Plaine, that's 2 hours out of someone's shift. And it quite honestly isn't always law enforcement's responsibility either to get these people where they need to go. But we're oftentimes the people, you know, we're the ones that are getting the call saying, hey, this person's being a disturbance, or they're causing a nuisance, or what have you. And we need to get them somewhere where they can get some help, even if it's just a meal. Every situation's different, but what we talked about in our meeting last week was if we had the option to, you know, partner with the Yellow Cab, have some funds set aside to where, you know, if deputies or officers are out with somebody, we can offer them, hey, we have this 24/7, 365 service in Cedar Rapids. If you're willing to go there, we're willing to pay for a ride to get you there. So that way you can, you know, even go in and just see what services can be offered. A lot of times people don't know what services are around until they're put in that situation. And so that's just something that we talked about last week, and then we talked about coming and bringing it to you to see what your thoughts were. But transportation's been a struggle the entire time that I've been around, and it continues to get worse. We have gas cards, we have other options, but people don't have anybody to call. You know, we've tried, you know, hey, can you call your sister? Can you call your mom? We'll put gas in the gas tank because we have the funds available, we have the gift cards. People don't have anybody to call.
And it might save us some trouble, you know, moving them on to their next destination. It might save a stolen car or a theft, you know. I'm not saying everybody, but, you know, if they have no resources, you know, desperate people do desperate things, so.
And we did find that, this would be covered under our opioid funding. It's not tax dollars, it's the opioids.
The only thing I got a drawback on it, I know I had some husband and wife in Newhall there. They went to Mercy Hospital. The husband drives, the wife does not. He ended up having a heart attack down there. Beside the point, she had to come home then that night. So she took a taxi home instead of calling somebody.
Yeah.
It cost her $100 from Mercy
Yep.
to Newhall.
Mm-hmm.
So this is scaring me that if they gotta come from Cedar Rapids to Benton.
And we talked about that. It's probably $150 round trip to get if somebody, and that's to Vinton. If somebody's in Belle Plaine, I've never called a cab all the way down there, but I've called for cabs here in town. It's $150 on average to get somebody to come out from Cedar Rapids to come get this person in Vinton and then take them back to Cedar Rapids. And there was one just a week or two ago, they needed to get up to Fairfield, so the cab came from Cedar Rapids. It was somebody getting out of jail, they needed to get back to Fairfield. So they came from Cedar Rapids to Benton to pick this person up, drove them to Fairfield, and then back to Cedar Rapids. It was over $200. But this person had no connections whatsoever. They had people that they called, nobody would come get them, and there was no way we could take them that far.
So if we haul somebody in there and they get there and they find out they don't want those services, how do they get back?
They're not technically at our responsibility at that time.
Right, because they don't
Once they
live,
walk down the
they
steps,
don't
we're
live
done,
here.
because I think you had somebody, I can't remember, it was Saturday or Sunday when I was working up here, was standing out here at a couple miles out south.
It doesn't happen a lot, but happens enough that it's,
If they take off walking, the sheriff comes up and deals with them anyway, because they're walking down the road.
Well, that's what I'm saying. People in,
Safety hazard.
yeah, people in Benton County are gonna call those people in, and deputies have a duty to maintain, to go and check on that person, you know, and if it's the simple fact of, I live in Belle Plaine, and, you know, I was in jail in Benton, I live in Belle Plaine, I can't find a ride, puts us in a predicament.
And then in the past, we've
So-
had accounts set up, like with the local hotel for people that needed a place to stay. So I don't know if we could do like a contract with like the Yellow Cab, or if we could get like a debit card associated with the opioids from the bank and give it like a $500 limit. I mean, I would think we'd go over $500 a time, would you? Probably.
No, and I don't think, if somebody says they live in Minnesota, I don't think we
Yeah.
send them in a cab to Minnesota.
yeah,
but I
this is
think
a
we-
reasonable
I
destination.
think we give them the option of, you know, and again, it has to tie back to mental health and substance abuse, but most oftentimes, the people that we're running into have some sort of a concern with that.
You guys wanna put together a policy and procedure on how you're gonna make all this work, and then I like the concept, I like the idea. It's gonna save us trouble in the long run, by far.
If
It's
we can
currently-
free up the deputy and that, because that's tax, that's county money
Yeah,
coming out for those guys.
Because then
versus
they're
if this is
using our
opioid
vehicles and
funds,
stuff, yes.
Then that's a whole separate fund, so these guys would be.
Because we've already been utilizing our ASAC Care Navigator, but we
And
can't.
she's been great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that takes away, like if she's the one traveling, then that takes her away from her position here too, so.
And, yeah, her position does allow her to transport. Again, a lot of times these calls are nights and weekends, you know, she's not around,
Yeah, I'm
so.
uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, her car insurance would, because, yeah.
Yeah.
Is the bank okay with the debit card?
Well, that's what, I think if you guys give formal approval, I mean, because like our departments have their own, but we would have to authorize like maybe Shelby for the signer on that card, if you're comfortable with that, or if one of you
Yeah, it's not
guys-
gonna be a free-for-all. I mean, it's
No.
gonna be very, on a limited basis, you know.
And we would need the invoices.
It's
and
just gonna be
receipts
if
to back.
all else fails, we'll use this.
Right. Yeah, if somebody just needs a ride from, you know, Belle Plaine to Blairstown, I would like to think the officers will just take them. We're not gonna call a cab to do that.
No.
It's people that need to get to Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, Waterloo, you know, wherever their destination is. We'll do our best to get them as close as we can, that's reasonable.
How many do you think you've been letting go, say, a week or a month, that would use this service?
So,
Just to throw a number.
yeah, to be honest with you, Tracy, we go months where I get no calls about anybody needing transportation, and then in the last 3 weeks, I think we've had 3 or 4. It really just varies, but those situations take time. You know, I think Ray was gonna talk to Mark, the
And
transportation
he
director,
did a little
too.
bit, but again, that's some of that, is if they're staffed at those times of night either, so.
Right, and typically they need a 24-hour notice. I mean, they're good if we call and say, we need something, if they have the staff available, they'll always help. And that's way cheaper to pay them versus Yellow Cab. This is, like Sheriff said, it's gonna be last resort. It's 11 o'clock at night, it's cold outside. Somebody says they want to get to Cedar Rapids, you know, we can do our due diligence and get them a cab and send them on their way.
Well, I guess there's some perimeters that you need to set up.
Our committee does not meet again until July.
July, but they did, we formally approved it, but then we always come to you guys for your approval too, so.
Well, hope you have a good day.
I mean, because technically it will come out of a claim that you'd have to approve, so.
Is there a timeline, Haley, that that money has to be spent?
It does not have any stipulations.
But every year we're going to get more, right? So.
I think, because that's just kind of trickling in as they settle with these pharmaceutical companies, so.
And I mean, and so far, ASAC hired their care navigator, and we have partnered very closely with her. Her name's Josie. She's temporary until they find a permanent person in Benton County, but she takes on a lot of, like our jail referrals. Every time somebody gets booked now, we do a substance use screen, and if they identify they have a need, we automatically give them a referral if they will sign a release. And so that's helped tremendously, just to try and hit some of these people that they get booked in, maybe they're there overnight, they get booked out, but then 2 days later, they might come back because they don't have the connections that they need. So we've done that, and then soon, we'll be getting homeless bags that have a bunch of stuff in them for all of the patrol cars in all of Benton County. Brody will get some, DHS is going to get some,
Must be
and then really
Foundation
anybody
Two.
else.
Is
What's
that the Foundation 2 one we did?
Yeah, yeah. So they'll be getting those. Stomach's growling over here. And there were homeless bags and then the gas cards too. So if
Yeah.
somebody needs to, if they identify they need to get to a substance abuse or any type of mental health appointment, we can offer them gas cards. But again, the trouble that we see is a lot of people they can't identify a ride. They don't have a car, they don't have anybody to call. But if we can help get them, if we can drop them off to where they need to go to get some help, that's what we would like to do. We just don't always have the availability to do it ourselves.
My suggestion is if you're gonna give them a credit card, you better have at least $1,000 limit. Because your $500 limit, what you suggested here a little bit ago, you already had 3 people that could have maybe used it, $150.
Yeah.
You already got your 3 people for the week, and then the other 3 weeks for the month, you're done. You can't do it no more.
Well, I think we discussed,
We did more of a limit, but yeah.
yeah.
But as long as we get that invoice turned in right away, we pay it right directly to the Visa. Or, because like she said, they probably want prepay or pre-approval.
Every time I've called, they want a card on file because we have had cabs come out here and then they can't find the people. So we don't have time necessarily to have law enforcement sit and wait with somebody, so we'll say, stay right here at McDonald's, the cab will be here in an hour. And by the time the cabs would come out here, they would be gone. So they want cards on, they want money paid before they get in their car and come.
So I think our bank will be fine with it, as long as, because they always want your approval,
Okay.
and we could authorize a
Then I
couple
would
of
suggest to
them.
make sure if these people are gonna use this service, they should stay at the sheriff's office.
It's such a random,
Yeah.
it's nothing you can really plan. It's the most random thing.
I mean, if the guy walks to McDonald's and
Well, not too long ago, we had somebody that was released. He wanted to go to the hospital, so he walked up to the hospital. He was basically hanging around the hospital, and they had to basically was it a female? I can't remember. Tell him to leave. So he left. These people are free to go. They're not being detained or we can't, if they don't want to stay at the sheriff's office, they can be like, no, we're going to leave. But like I said, it's definitely on a case-by-case basis, and it usually happens about the most inopportune time.
Oh, he's got you.
When everybody's busy or so.
And what happens sometimes is these people get released, they're stuck in town, whether typically it's Benton because that's where our jail is, and then they get arrested again because they have no options, and so they get desperate, like the sheriff said, they
Do a theft or steal a car to get out of
drink in
here.
public, they do random things, and then they're in jail again, and so then, we're trying to alleviate a lot of that, and
It's gonna be a very controlled thing. It's not just
Yeah.
gonna be a debit card laying in the patrol room to just like
Right.
pass out.
And there's
It's-
not gonna be posters up, you know, if you need a ride, call this number. It's
No.
gonna be a case-by-case basis. I'll work very closely with our jail administrator, Rusty, if it pertains to the jail. Otherwise, all the officers in the county know they can call me at any time and we'll troubleshoot anything that happens. Belle Plains pretty quiet, knock on wood, like when it comes to transportation type stuff, we don't see a lot of need there, but, we do see a need for appointments. And so if that's, you know, we won't use Yellow Cab for that, but if we could have some money to pay transportation, the Benton County Transportation Bus, to get people to appointments. And if I could tell the clients or the individuals, we can get you there, you just have to go, that would alleviate a lot of stress on their end. That's one of the main reasons they don't go to appointments, they don't have a way to get there. So if we had funds to pay for that, that would help.
Okay.
And we can definitely write something up, like Ron said, a procedure, you know, parameters, whatever, how we're gonna do it.
As long as her name's gonna be on that.
Probably put hers and maybe the jail administrator, since they are initially the ones too that are dealing with them, releasing them, correct?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have a problem with allocating the funds. I believe it's something that's needed, but I would like to see just a little bit of an outline as to what the protocols are gonna be for this, so that we don't go from A to F and say, oh, guess what, you know, I don't wanna mess with all this other stuff, here you go.
Yep, we're happy to do that, and we.
No, I don't blame you. We're not a taxi service,
Yeah,
trust
no,
me.
no.
I've been here a long time. We're not a
But
taxi service.
I see the need, I understand it, and I'm allocating the funds, I don't have a problem with it, if that's what we're looking at doing today.
Or
I
if
would
we
like to
even
see
purchase
something.
like a Visa debit card, I mean, if you don't want it to go through our,
Can you have it ready in a week? Shelby, Dave, Josh?
Oh, yeah.
could you do your formal approval just so I could at least talk to the bank and get that process started?
We can come back next week with our,
With the list of things.
Okay.
how we're gonna do it.
Make,
So
you
we
can
need
give me
approval today.
authorization to talk to the farmers and then.
And then I think as time goes on too, I'll document the reasons that we're using the funds, because if the money's always going to keep coming in, it sounds like for years to come.
And we'd
can
have to file
identify-
reports with the opioids.
Do other counties have a program like this?
All
Everybody
those-
gets the
Yeah.
opioid money, I
They,
think.
yeah, but do they have the process that you're talking about, transporting people to other counties? Have you
I don't
reached out
know.
and see?
I can reach out to some people and ask.
Well, I don't know if there's a program there you could piggyback off
Yeah.
of and kind of use what they have instead
Yeah.
of trying to come up with
I think some
something.
other people are doing different things like methadone clinic and needle drop-off, stuff like
Narcan
that.
stations.
We really didn't want to do
Yeah.
anything like
We've been
that.
brainstorming and
more
with
of
our
an
needs in our
attraction.
community.
Mm-hmm, yeah, I get that.
So,
Okay.
but I feel like that would probably be good for the bigger metropolitan area.
Some of the counties are getting large amounts. I mean, they have an individual person that's hired just to oversee it.
Just to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So can I get a motion then?
I would make the motion to approve the authorization for the allocation from the opioid committee for a bank card of some type to be used for emergency transportation needs.
Only thing you gotta have with it, credit.
The limit.
Credit limit of $1,000.
You're saying per event?
No,
Most
it'll
of
be
them
like,
run.
and then we usually like, I will want the invoice right away because then we pay that Visa right
If you
away.
get 3 or 4 in a row, we're gonna
Yeah.
pass the $500
Yeah.
up in our rate.
For the month, 30
It'd be
days.
basically your month or between pay, when we pay
Yeah.
claims. So. Most departments don't have a problem with the $1,000 or $2,000.
I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
plenty.
fine.
And like he has said a couple times, it's last resort. So
Okay.
there may be months it doesn't get touched.
Yeah, we hope we don't need it.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I'll second Ron's motion.
okay, call for a vote on that.
Tippit, aye.
Team and I.
Bullseye?
Thank you very much.
Good news.
Eric.
There's some information.
took a look at it.
Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity to visit with you today about a project that we're putting together on our farm operation. To introduce myself to you, I'm Eric Franzenberg. We have a farm operation that we've been farming for about 30 years now in the Belle Plaine Keystone area. And we've been basically a diversified farm operation where we don't grow as many corn and soybeans, but have looked at growing different crops like fruits and vegetables, medicinal herbs, cut flowers. And then we started about 5 years ago starting a agritourism project called the Sunflower Experience. And so people come out to our farm seasonally, and we get between 7,000 and 9,000 people out there each season. And so the people are coming from all over eastern Iowa. I would say easily within a 2-hour radius of our farm. Dubuque, Waterloo, Davenport, Des Moines, get a lot of people from Des Moines. And so we've been pleasantly surprised by this response and are really interested in trying to grow this. So we continue to do all these operations. We've cut back on our tomato and cucumber production after the derecho in 2020 because of our greenhouses, and once we got those rebuilt, our son took that operation over and does cut flowers out of that. And I've always been interested, we continue, this past year we started growing tomatoes, strawberries, and sweet corn, and then in this year we're going to expand upon that with a few more crops. But what I'm really interested in doing now, I've been looking at this for about 15 years now, is growing a shrimp farm. I ran into a guy in January that is very knowledgeable. His system looks like it works really well. And that's been the problem that I've seen over the years. I could not find an operation I thought would actually be sustainable and would actually be profitable over time. But in talking with this guy and seeing some of his operations, it looks really promising to me. The shrimp would be raised indoors. It's an aquatic environment. They're in tanks. The shrimp, actually the young shrimp will be coming from Minnesota at this point. And so they're just baby shrimp, very small. We bring them to the farm. We put them in a nursery tank, get them started, and then they are moved into like a grower tank, and then that's where they are grown out. And so the facility would have 2 very large tanks in them, about 20-foot diameter tanks, and then 1 small nursery. And also the production of algae is used to help clean the water as time goes on, to keep the shrimp clean water system. And then also some of that is used for food. So it's a very unique system. The person that developed it he has a patent on the process of growing the shrimp. So it's been very interesting to see how it's developed. So the sale of the shrimp would occur in 3 different methods, or different systems. It would be a wholesale processors, where this guy from Ames that we're working with, that's how he originally set up the system, was to be selling the shrimp to a wholesaler. He would process the shrimp, and then they would go to retail outlets. But I told him, and I was interested in the whole system, that we would like to sell the shrimp off the farm, because we think that we could sell at a higher price straight off the farm, and they would be fresh, and that would just add to the revenue of the farm. And so he was very interested in doing that, because he's interested in seeing this as another system, a system that could be used for retail rather than just processing. So he's interested in looking at that. So the markets would be the wholesale, then off the farm, and then also at farmers markets. The location that we're looking at is right on Highway 30 at the corner of V40 and Highway 30. And that's our parcel of land that's owned by our family. And I've been farming that ground ever since we've owned it. So just to look at any questions at this point? Is there anything that you'd like to know more about the shrimp?
On the south side of 30?
Yes, it would be on the south side of 30. The southeast corner.
Yep.
130. I always call it 131, but I think it's V40 now, is what it's called.
13th Avenue.
13th Avenue, yes.
The water then, for these tanks, it can't be power sheet water, right?
It can be,
It can't be.
yes. So, actually, that's a good thing, because that's good water. We would have to add salt to the water, and it's a saltwater shrimp, and what you do is just add salt to the water to make the environment correct for the shrimp.
Okay, and how long does it take to grow the shrimp?
Yeah, so from the time that the little ones come until they're ready to be sold, it'd be 3 months. So they grow fast, yeah, they really do.
And this is year-round, just,
Year-round, yeah, so what we have to do is continually pick up the little ones. In our situation, we want to pick them up monthly, so then that provides us with adult shrimp that are ready to sell every month. So there's always a few shrimps, there always will be some shrimp for sale, say over a 6 to 7 day period in a month, of each month. They grow fast, so you only have a short window when you can really sell them. And then whatever shrimp do not go off the farm, retail off the farm, then they would go to the wholesaler, to the processor for
Do
wholesale.
you process them there then? The shrimp?
We don't, no. So, yeah, for us, they will just be basically taken right out of the tank and then put on ice and then given to the customer.
and they clean them themselves and do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, is there any byproduct that has to be disposed of?
Yes, so there is a tank where there is some wastewater that does come off of it. It's about, I think he said it would be about 10 gallons a day. And so what they've been doing is just having a holding tank, and this is what they call, for the DNR, it's called a small, I think I put it in here somewhere, a small animal feeding operation. In that respect, there's no need for a manure management plan. You can go ahead and put it on your farmland anywhere you want, and there's no record keeping or anything needed for that.
And you have the equipment to extract that from the tank and spread it out on your farm?
Yeah, we can do that. I could use the guy that I use we have hog manure as well. It could be the same equipment, or it could be like Gilbert Septic or someone like that could just suck it out and then, yeah, and just put it on the field.
Okay.
Yeah. So going on to the next section, there was some concern that shrimp is not considered an animal, an agricultural activity. And so I provided some information here. I don't know if you had a chance, I contacted coalitions to support Iowa farmers, and Brian Waddingham provided a letter here of support to let me know, let you know as well, that this is a viable operation that is being developed in the state, and they're hoping that it will grow more over time. And with more education and people understanding why you would want to eat shrimp from the farm, because it's safer, for one thing, more efficient production, and then we're also not harvesting shrimp out of the wild anymore. People can just eat shrimp that's being produced, and it's being produced locally, instead of coming from another state or from China or Southeast Asia or places that I personally would not eat food from.
I've heard that about tilapia. Don't eat tilapia.
Yeah, well, I at least want to know where it's coming from.
Yeah, there are certain places, yeah,
Yeah.
production places, yeah.
Yep. Just the Ag Land Stewardship, actually, Iowa Department of Ag actually funds a program called Choose Iowa. And just this last year, they funded $25,000 for a shrimp operation over in Adel. And actually, this is one of the first shrimp farms that this young guy has put in. He put in 3 shrimp farms last year, now he's putting in 4 this year. But the 4 that are going in, the ones that we're looking at, is a much larger operation. It's double the first ones that they put in. He wanted to see how the first ones were going to go first before he sized up the things. Just information about taxes. Agricultural production includes aquaculture, just to let you be aware of that. Aquaculture, by definition in the Iowa Food Code, does include crustaceans, which is what shrimp really are. So I think that, basically, in the ordinance, in our county ordinance, I feel that if we fall in line with everything that is in there, I mean, it is considered a farm, or I would consider it a farm operation. It includes production of farm products, and includes, but is not limited to marketing of products at a roadside stand or farm markets. So I think we fit into that category. We're going to sell the shrimp off the farm, right there at that location, at the market, and then it falls into the definition of farm products as well.
You're looking at additional employment to help you do all this?
Yeah, potentially, yeah, for sure, yeah. Yeah, because we would like to have the market running eventually year-round. We'd like to do that. Initially, we'd probably have to start out at least probably 9 months out of the year, but eventually it would be nice to have it year-round. So the actual shrimp, the amount of shrimp produced would be 12,000 pounds in a year. So it's, depends on how you look at that. I mean, it seems like a lot to me, 12,000 pounds of shrimp. But when you look at other livestock like hogs and cattle, and that's not very much weight or size-wise. But as far as shrimp are concerned, it's a lot of shrimp. Yeah.
How warm do you gotta keep the atmosphere?
I'm sorry, the atmosphere.
How warm do you have to?
Yeah, so it's right around 84 degrees. So it is warm.
That's the water temp?
Yep, that's right. Yep, that's what the water temp would be. When I first saw the system, it was a little bit intimidating, but the guy, he's been helping farmers get started on this, and it's been working well for them, because there's a filter system to help keep the water clean. And as I mentioned, the production of algae, which helps keep the water clean as well. And apparently the shrimp flavor is very good that comes out of these tanks. The other aspect that they're looking at is, so shrimp periodically molt. And so they shed their skin kind of like a snake, and they'll do that periodically. I'm not sure how many times. But that molting, that skin that is lost from the shrimp, actually is made of chitin. And in chitin is I don't know if it's an enzyme or amino acid called chitinase. And chitinase is being used in the mobility of chemical treatments for cancer. For whatever reason, that gets way deeper than I know about it, but this chitinase helps deliver cancer treatments to the specific sites that they want to treat the cancer, and does it very efficiently. So actually one of the growers is he's great about selling the shrimp, but he feels that this chitin that's being produced from the shrimp is actually going to be more profitable in the long run, because and what's coming from these tanks, these shrimp, they're very clean, so the chitin is very clean. They can get chitin from other shrimps, but the shrimp where they're living is not very clean environment, so the chitin's not clean, and so that's why they're looking at these tanks.
Do you have a way to extract this?
Yeah, I don't know, we'll have to figure out, I think because they would just lose them, in the water, so I think you would have to just sieve them out, or just periodically get them out of the tanks.
Is there any order involved with this, like a hog operation?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So several of the sites that they've set up are in towns. So it has been an issue, and the towns are concerned about that. Mm-hmm. And no, there really isn't any smell. And Jackson, the guy who owns the company, has done a lot of education in that regard, because there has been concerned about that. But yeah, there's very little to no smell involved, and they've been all right once they got them into the town. I think there's one of them is in a town. I don't know if it's on Main Street or whatever, but they've been fine with it.
These tanks, then, are they gonna be like a poly tank, or are they gonna be concrete, or?
So they're just the owner has become a soup dealer, because what he's doing is using soup rings, from the grain bins. He's just taking rings, setting those up, and then lining them with a plastic liner, and that's it, that's the tank. It's pretty simple that way.
Is there some sort of a way in case it springs a leak to catch anything that comes out, or like around the gas tanks you have to have that catch area?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if he's developed anything in that regard. I mean, that's obviously, we don't want that to happen because the shrimp could,
Production's coming.
the production system could be all in peril at that case, but, yeah, it would be in a building, and that'd be something to consider, because you don't want the water necessarily running out all over the place either. But maybe that's a thing that you consider in putting the building, is put a gutter in there to catch water, you know. I would assume that the water I would assume that you would not walk in there all of a sudden one day and it would just be,
Right.
one of the tanks would be empty, you know. I think it would be something that might happen over time, that you might see, something might develop a leak over time. Yeah. On the next page, we're going to be using it for ag education. We're going to create tours for our system, because we think it's a great way to sell shrimp. That people can come in, they can actually walk into the shrimp where they're growing, and actually take a look at where they're being grown, and we can talk a little bit about the shrimp production and why buy local shrimp, because that's what we really want people to do. There was a House file that came out in 2020 that kind of talks about, the governor signed, it was House File 2477. I think I got a copy of it in there for you. And basically talks about agricultural experiences, and then that there really is no need for special exemptions or variances in regard to that. So I thought that was an important part of this too. So the building would be not very big. It's just 130 by 30, so not a very big footprint. 50 by 30, the last piece of paper there that you see is a picture basically of the building. 30 by 80 would be the shrimp farm, and then 30 by 50 is the farm market. And so they're attached. There'll be a wall in between the market and the shrimp farm. And then we want to put a window in that wall so that people can actually just look out there to see where they're being produced.
But you sell other products there as well, like spices and stuff?
Well, exactly, yeah. We don't do as many herbs anymore, but yeah, we want to do the sweet corn, tomatoes, strawberries, and we want to continue to expand on that.
And that would be sold out of this building as well?
Yes, as well, yeah, in the farm market.
The farm market?
Yeah, so it's basically two separations there. Just the 30 by 80 is just the shrimp farm, and then the 30 by 50 would be the farm market. And that's where we would sell the shrimp out of, really, is in that. But I can really see, I think, if someone stops to get shrimp, we would just go get them out of the tank, and then put them on ice and send them.
Where they go.
And then off they go, yeah. It'll be a system, I think, really where you just see, we would just put on Facebook with our farm operation that the shrimp will be available from this day till this day, maybe 4 or 5 days. And then I think really what we're going to end up having to do is making appointments, so that people just make an online appointment. They would come in, they would make it, say they want 5 pounds of shrimp. They would come at a certain time to pick them up. So we would just set that up, and we can harvest them a little bit ahead of time, put them on ice, and then they would come and pick them up. Because we're afraid, what we're concerned about is we have too much interest, and all of a sudden, people just kind of come and go, first as you please, first come, first serve. We're a little concerned that people are going to stop and there isn't going to be shrimp available, and that's not going to help in the long run, when people stop and find out that there's no shrimp there. So anyway, that's kind of, in summary, we've realized, once we've got people on the farm for the sunflower experience, that, once they're here in Benton County, it's good to keep them here in Benton County. Especially, we have a lot of people that will stop and they go to the sunflowers and they come out. We talk to as many people as we can. And then the next question is, where can we go eat locally? And so we've come to the point where we put all the restaurants in Belle Plaine, and also there's a few in Keystone. We put those on our website. And so we just tell people to go back to our website and take a look at those. And people do use them because we've had retailers tell us that we know when you're open because we get more business. We see more foot traffic when your guys are open. So we want to build on this. We want to keep building on this. We think the shrimp is going to be a good aspect of it. So I guess my question, do you have any more questions?
I don't have any more questions.
All right.
I think you've done an excellent job explaining.
You're
Thanks.
gonna put it kind of a ways off of 30 though, right? The building?
It's a ways off, yeah. There's a gate entrance that comes off of V40, so yeah, you definitely have to get off of 30. They're not gonna be coming off of 30,
Okay.
right? They would get off at the intersection of V40 and drive, I don't know, it's a couple hundred feet, and there's a driveway there. That's always been a concern for us with the Sunflower experience, that traffic can get backed up on 30 at certain times. And it's worked pretty well.
It's an existing driveway?
Yes, it is, yeah. Yep, the DOT put that in when they finished the road.
Years ago, didn't they put snow fence there?
Yeah, actually, on that corner, they did pile snow fence there, yeah. Yeah, there used to be a huge pile of it, yeah, remember that.
Okay. Laura?
Eric has contacted the office concerning this project, and it, in my opinion, is a ag use. However, it does not meet our definition of a farm, which is 21 or more acres that are used in commercial production of a farm product. That's what a farm is in Benton County. The spot he wants to go in was about an acre, would I be correct in saying that?
Yeah, less, yeah.
A little bit less, of which is along 30 there. It's got about a 95 CSR on it, would you be correct about that?
Yeah, probably.
And it is in production, correct?
Yeah.
He wants to split off that. So I said to him, Franzenberg Farms clearly has over 21 or more acres on their farm for farmland. I said, don't split, do your farming, fish farm, whatever he calls it, on your farm. You know, he didn't want to do that. He wants to split off this piece of another piece and use it for the fish operation, of which it is ag use. I feel like it is an ag. It is not a farm when you split off less than an acre. That is not a farm.
So what if I
Under
just-
our current ordinance.
So what if I just lease the land?
Then at that point, you would have to seek a land use change to do your, because you still don't have the 21 or more acres. There's where we keep going round and round.
Well-
If Franzenberg Farms has it, you're asking the board to give you something over in a different area, less than an acre.
In a different area.
Well, it's
So-
not part of where you're doing the 21 or more acres. You want to split it, just to have the little acre. If you wouldn't split it, and you continually are under the umbrella of Franzenberg Farms, you're fine. There's nothing you need to do.
Well, then if we do that, I guess I'm still not quite understanding it, but, so if we just put the building up and don't do any land exchange there or anything, then it's fine.
You're a farm, because you are having 21 or more acres that are used in commercial production of a farm product.
Yeah. I know we did we did talk, so no property has to exchange or anything to that effect then? All right, so, but are you good though? We did talk about this being an agricultural activity and you did not agree with that at that time.
No, I said it was an ag use. It's the farm part is where we were always at. You weren't a farm because you were splitting it to less than an acre. So then I gave you food for thought as far as, would you need a septic system? Would you need something? And you said possibly.
Well, we do have to have a bathroom in the building. There's no
So-
doubt about that.
Yeah, so on that, you're going to be required to have an acre excluding road for a septic. That's why we talked about the acre.
But if he doesn't split it off, Franzenberg Farms is.
Has plenty of
So he can
room.
put it in regardless.
That is correct.
There we go.
All right.
I'm Stephen Beck, City Administrator in Belle Plaine. Thanks, I just wanted to ask a couple clarifying questions to Eric, if I may. I'm here to advocate for him because he's a huge asset to our community. I can understand why he might find it advantageous to remove that from the farm if he's doing a specific purpose. For liability reasons, but I wanted to ask if anybody knew if he could have his own 911 address for that specific property, and then his specific address, so his LLC is in the operation of that building, and if his farm wouldn't be liable if something were to happen with the food operation.
He'd get a new 911 number, right?
I would
The building was up.
I would assume he would,
Yeah.
but it will be with all the farm.
Yeah.
But they can give him a different 911 for his building.
Then your LLC could be addressed to that building, that could be a pathway for you, Eric.
Yeah.
Where you wouldn't have to separate the farm. I guess we just wanted to make sure he had a pathway going forward here, because this is a really unique and neat opportunity. There are only a half a dozen of these in the whole state.
I seen something on the news here like 2 weeks ago, you know. and
I saw that too, yeah.
It caught
Yeah.
my eye and I watched the whole deal. It was-
There are a lot of people, just the topography and the way that parcels in and around Belle Plaine are split up. There are a lot of boutique little farms that are around that would like to do things, and we feel like it could become like a destination area. I'm not gonna try to compare it to Kelowna or something like that, but if his farm has a shop attached to it with the production, and there's the agritourism, sustainable agriculture, and then the educational component for young people and older people alike to learn about where their food comes from, and it's not coming out of a tank or wherever, you know. As Mr. Vol said, some of those areas regarding tilapia, they feed some pretty nasty stuff to those, and there are little regulations. And Eric is a top-notch farmer, if I may say so. Yeah, and he takes great pride in his work, so I know that his product will be supreme to any other around.
Thanks. So, we can just go ahead and put the building there. If we don't change the ownership of, say, an acre or 2
Franzenberg
acres
Farms.
or
No,
whatever,
you're,
it'll be fine, and we just have to work that out in the family.
Right.
The thing that I'm looking at is going back to that program that you see. Say down the road, 2 years, like, hey, this is awesome. I want to put up a couple more buildings. Now, if you go the way Barb was kind of suggesting, or what you're thinking of that. hey,
Department of Inspection and Appeals does a lot.
and I don't do that. That comes out of Blackhawk County.
Yeah.
I shared that information with you. What they require, I don't know. Mine's going to be the use of the land and your bathroom. And you gotta have an acre for that.
But if he stays under Franzenberg Farms, he's got that deed.
80 acres there.
Absolutely, you meet the definition of a farm.
I just wanted to ask for, you would, just for clarification, you'd like an acre set aside just for the septic and wastewater treatment alone?
He doesn't have to set aside it, we just have to have an acre that's available for septic and well separation.
Sure.
If he's going to use power sheet water, we have setbacks for that as well. And that's the other thing that you'll run into with the food code. Public water supply you could come under, and
Yeah.
that type of thing. So those are things you're gonna need to look at. Now, if you use power sheet, it's already public.
Yeah.
That's public water.
Yeah.
A private well is not. And a septic system will be designed by us. Smallest tank size that you can have is 1250, and yeah, the salt water will have to be treated. So you will look at your use, what size of tank would be advantageous for you. Most people would probably put in a bigger one so you don't have to pump as often, and you go from there. But that's, you meet the criteria with Franzenberg Farms. You can't meet it if you separate it out. If you just leave it where it's at, then you're a farm.
Okay. So as far as commercial kitchen, that, yeah, as long as we meet the specifications for the Department of
Yeah.
Inspection and Appeals and the Health Department, of course. And then,
I don't know if Idylls allow you to have a kitchen and serve that shrimp there. I don't know if they allow that. I
Yeah.
think there's a problem with that. I don't think you can grow it and sell it. I don't know if you've checked on that, but my thought is that is not allowed.
for what now?
To raise it and then sell it there or cook it there.
Yeah, to cook it there, yeah.
You
That
can't
requires
do
a
it.
whole nother
Yes.
licensing and.
Exactly.
Licensing and permitting.
But selling it there is no different than selling your strawberries
Right.
and your cucumbers.
As long as it's fresh and you do no.
Exactly.
You do
It is
nothing
a
to it.
farm product at that point, which 21 or more acres, which you can meet, but you can't meet it if you separate it off. So that's gonna be, their family's gonna have to decide that.
I don't want to take any more of your time.
We'll give you guidance.
It was good guidance.
Okay.
Yes. Thanks for your help.
No problem.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, come and see me when, might be a little while yet.
When Ron comes back, I'll do you guys next. So you can get on your merry way. Thanks, Marvin.
You're welcome.
I never even thought about half the stuff that you were talking about gotta be
Yeah.
an acre and all that stuff. That's-
Exactly.
Yeah, I've read through the ordinance and, after a while, you just spend,
Well, and I've done it forever, so I know what it is.
thank God you're here.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Have a good day.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Marvin.
Bye.
Okay, guys, what do you got today?
You should have one of the full-time resolutions in your packet.
Yes.
That would be on the Cronk. I don't know if you guys want to talk to me.
Hiring a correctional officer at the sheriff's office.
So this is a hire to replace Dylan Ryder, who left back in January of this year. Aaron Kronk is his name. Aaron Kronk, he's coming from the Hardin County Jail. He lives in Vinton, so he's making a long commute daily to and from work. So we think that's a good fit for him. Backgrounds are done, interviews.
Okay.
This is backfilling the,
Vacant position.
Let's do this one first. Can I get a motion for the resolution of 2534, hiring a full-time correctional officer?
Go ahead, Bruce.
I was gonna say, I'd make a motion to accept resolution 25-34, hiring correctional officer at the sheriff's office, hiring Aaron Cronk as a full-time correctional officer.
I will second that motion.
Okay, call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye. Bull's aye. Then you got part-time? Okay, what can you tell me about, let's see, part-time cook, custodian? We got a couple of them.
So our kitchen has 2 full-time and, well, basically just 2 full-time. And they're basically trying to run the whole kitchen just with 2 employees. So to help alleviate, overtime and scheduling, we're gonna bring on a part-time Terry Ellinger to help back there in the kitchen.
Vacation and everything.
Yeah.
It says custodian as well, so.
Yeah, he probably won't be doing a lot of, we have another part-time custodian that kind of takes care of the cleaning, like 16 hours a week or something like that.
The way it's listed in the union contract is cook/custodian, so he'll be primarily cooking, but he'll be doing some custodial duties back on the jail side of the building.
He had mentioned that he was gonna have to find something to do in retirement.
How many hours?
And he wants the insurance.
We told him up to 20.
At what rate?
That is at, I want to say,
Whatever the union,
1951, I
19.
believe. I can find it.
Who would be, and I can look some new.
Patty, no, she's got seniority. Northup.
Crystal.
So this is at 19.51 per hour. It's a non-union position, but since it's part-time, we do start them out at the starting wage on the union contract, which is 19.51.
So can I get a motion for the part-time custodian cook?
I'll make the motion to hire Terry Ellinger, part-time custodian cook.
When is this effective? Effective date?
Well, we have the start date scheduled for the 14th of May. For all these hires.
I'll second the motion for the part-time cook and custodian.
Okay. Call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye. Bull's aye. Okay, reserve deputy, part-time.
Johnny Blanchett. He's a Lynn County Reserve. He just wants to come over here and just work some PRN, as needed hours. So we've met with him, did the background, everything looks good.
Yep, lives in Van Horn, certified reserve already, wouldn't have to do any modules or anything for him. He'll be cross-trained as a utility deputy, so transports, filling in courthouse security, he could serve civil papers, train him for the road, that's the plan for him. Would come in at the utility deputy starting wage of $28.32 per hour, non-union position.
do you spell his name?
First name is Johnie, Blanchett, Blanchet.
Back when we changed the classification for the courthouse staff, put them on as part-time, is there a need to add, really a need to add that? Is this a position you're adding, or is this something that you?
This is adding to the pool of utility deputies, so whether they're reserve or part-time deputies. So he is a deputy. Larry Feeker's been working part-time hours for us, just went out with back surgery. We need fill-in guys for these buildings.
Sick, vacation.
Again, they're not set hours, it's PRN as, as needed.
What do you anticipate his hours would be? I guess that doesn't matter.
When he starts,
It depends on the need.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he won't be on a schedule, it'll just be when we need him, call him up, hey, can you work this day, or we got this transport. And he's eager to work, he likes doing what he's doing.
when he starts, we're gonna do a minimum of 80 hours of training with him and see where he's at after that. We have to do weapons certification, send that to ILEA. So he won't actually be working until we get through all that stuff first, so.
Can I get a motion to approve part-time utility deputy?
I'll make a motion. To approve a part-time utility deputy, do we need his name for the motion?
Yep.
What is it?
Johnny Blanchett.
Johnny Blanchett.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Bull's eye.
There you go.
Perfect.
That's it,
I
gentlemen?
think that's it.
Do we want to talk about the chaplain at all?
You don't
Yeah,
have it?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, they're just gonna give you an update, I think.
Okay.
We have a chaplain, it's gonna be my dad, my father. It's gonna be a volunteer, unpaid position. Yeah, he's perfect for the position, loves helping people, so a lot of people know him. So I think he'll be a great fit.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not gonna be paid, I figured if they're just giving you.
I just gonna let you guys know, I mean, yeah, he's not paid or anything, so,
That chaplain spot really comes in handy.
yeah. Yep. So,
Alrighty.
other than that, I think everything's going well. All right, thank you.
You ladies here for Judy?
Yeah. She's just about here.
Okay, that's fine. We got plenty.
You're not here for the chocolate walk.
Myron.
Oh, no, I thought you were Judy. Oh, okay.
You got a little dry spell here now, Myron.
It'll change. Now that you spoke out loud, it'll change. Mother forecast, all the meteorologists this week are gonna change tonight, and we're gonna have a downpour on Thursday.
Getting all the work you've done.
Bridge replacement project that's being designed on 52nd Street in Polk Township. Need a little bit of right-of-way to replace that short timber bridge with a twin 12 by 8 concrete box culvert. We have two property owners. Property owner on the north side of the road is Richard and Jennifer Sweeney. I have a purchase agreement to purchase permanently 0.23 acres at $1,495, and then a temporary construction easement of 0.16 acres for $170, for a total of $1,665. On the south side of the road, the ground is owned by Kelly Family Farms. Need 0.21 acres for a permanent easement, at $1,365, and then a temporary construction easement of 0.14 acres, compensating them $150, total to be paid to them $1,515. I have a purchase agreement for each of these property owners that they need approval on, the chairman's signature, and then to notarize it.
Okay, motion to approve the 2 purchase agreements.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2 purchase agreements for the bridge replacement project on 52nd Street in Polk Township.
I will second that motion.
Okay, call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Rules, aye. How many those $5 come pre-made or you can pour on the one day?
You can do them both ways. Iowa has a few contractors that can, in my opinion, cast in place, build them on site, cheaper and just as quickly as you can place particularly big ones. But we also have contractors in the state that have large equipment to lift those. We've got manufacturing plants in the state that can pre-cast those box culverts, and those 2 types of contractors doing that work bid based on what they feel it costs to do that, and then you let both industries.
Is there any advantage or disadvantage as far as longevity? Does it one last longer again?
I think they're similar. I mean, I'd like to think the longevity is similar. Some people may argue that the precast being built in controlled environment may be a better concrete than relying on, outdoor weather. But you have to build those in sections, so you have a joint.
Okay.
Granted, those joints can get wrapped with fabric. You can even use a compound in the joint itself as you're putting them together, but you do have a joint, that has the possibility of freeze-thaw movement or moisture getting in there and eroding them. But I would think they both would have easily a 100-year service life to them.
Nothing we have to worry about.
No. Mentioned to Haley that the second one I messed up with, we already did that a month ago.
We did it all.
Last year, we talked about on the 5-year construction program. There were 2 projects on that 5-year plan that were on the border of the county. The HMA resurfacing, 3-mile stretch on Buchanan County line from northeast of Mount Auburn, or say V71 west, 3 miles, and then a bridge on Prairie Creek on the Lynn Benton line just south of Highway 30. I had the HMA resurfacing on fiscal year 28, which is out there in my opinion, everything on my 5-year plan is fluid and it can move around slightly, but Buchanan County feels their farm market funds are very tight for the next 3 years, and they asked for me to, if I would consider moving that HMA resurfacing from fiscal year 28 to either 29 or 30. I said, let's just move it to 29, but I do need to make a special note of it to the DOT with that program, so I threw it on today's agenda. If we could just have a motion that simply states you're acceptable to moving the HMA resurfacing from fiscal year 28 to fiscal year 29.
No problem. So moved. Ready to...
Second.
All right, call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye. Rules, aye.
That's for moving
That whole plan.
the pavement.
Yeah.
Got it.
Last thing I have for you today, USA Communications, Blairstown is seeking a utility permit to install about a mile of new fiber optic cable from basically the corner of 74th Street and 21st Avenue, so we're miles south of the Van Horn, Blairstown corner on Highway 30, north on 21st through the intersection, and then tying into an existing fiber optic vault that Van Horn has on the northwest corner of the 21st Avenue.
I would make that
So we'll go
motion. Second, aye.
bullseye.
Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, that's all I have for you today. One thing I got for you, it's been a month and a half, and I'm not having very good luck, maybe you can help me. Finding a contractor to do this gas line inspection, remember I talked to you 2 months ago?
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna start here south of down here in July, they said, and I haven't found, I'm trying to work with Lynn County.
She didn't know either.
We're not getting anybody there, and I'm not an inspector, you know, I don't think they like if I throw a match in the hole, see if it's got a gas leak, won't work.
It would work, though.
Our insurance.
Yeah, there you go.
I would appreciate it if you could think, or call your engineer buddies,
Okay.
give me a name of a firm that I can call, that I can get somebody signed up before July 1st. You know what I mean?
Lynn County's not using one, or they don't know?
I asked Becky, she knows the company that's gonna do the other,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
They're not forming, no name, no company. I've called Mid-America. They said, yeah, we got people that you can use. I'll email you their names and numbers.
She wasn't sure
Their
if
email,
it was internally done too.
so I want to get ahead of the game. I want somebody lined up before July. So if you could find somebody, give me an email or call me, whatever, I appreciate that.
Okay,
Thanks, Myron.
sure.
Get the wire in yet down Blairstown?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I know the electrician and the boring contractor have been in communication. I just haven't heard a date as to how soon it's gonna happen. I was gonna try to touch base with them. Electrician's been calling me about every 3 days and keeping me updated, so
Good enough.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, man. Have a good day.
You too.
Judy,
Hi, how's it going?
good.
Good.
Thank you. We missed our meeting.
You did. Did you get the packet I sent to you?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Briefly, I had an client who had a issue.
Okay.
That you guys fixed it, and then he called me back and said, for it. And he told me that he forgot to mention that it was a different company that he, so I had to cancel what I did and do it.
Oh, no. Jeez.
I went back to Cedar Rapids. So
Oh, no. No, that's fine. No, that's fine. But I just want to make sure you got the information, so.
well, I enjoy those meetings very much, so I
Yes.
hated to miss it.
Oh. Yeah, and then our next one will be Zoom. It'll be on June. That meeting will just be via Zoom, but,
Zoom.
yeah.
Okay. And you'll send all the.
Yep, I'll send all that out. Yep. So, okay. All right, well, I just kind of want to go over, and talked about it last year. In 2023, Heartland approved a rate study, that was done, and there hadn't been any rate changes for like 15 years, for the counties, and the pool had been absorbing the property and liability increases with the carriers. So, they did that rate study, they, adopted the rates that were recommended, and those were used for the 2024-25 policy year, and those same rates are being used for this year, for 25-26. And they'll probably take a look at that again in a year or two to decide if they need to do another rate study or how they want to handle that, so. And then your property values, last year we did just do a 5% increase automatically for the property values. This year, we allowed the counties to determine if they felt any property if values needed to be increased. And we kind of covered that when we had our insurance education call in February. So that was a little bit different this year. And I guess we'll just go ahead and let Mary go ahead and talk about the renewal, and then I can follow up on some safety things, so.
Yep, absolutely. So, other than your work comp, everything, well, the work comp as well, they'll have the same rates as last year, so any changes are directly related to the exposures that were given to us by the county. As you see, your comp went down a fair amount, 22, actually, more than that, 32,000, and that is a direct reflection of your mod. So your payroll actually went up 17%, your mod year over year went down 31%, so that saved you a heck of a lot of money. Year over year, if your payroll was the same, you would have saved the full 30% with that mod. That second sheet that I have on there, that's just an analysis of your experience mod. As you can see in that middle right-hand box, the green is your actual losses compared to what the NCCI, which is the company that promulgates the mods across the country. So the green box is what your actual losses were for those years compared to the expected losses for a county of your size. So that's just a tremendous mod number. 1 is an average, so this is saying that you are 22% better in your loss history for those 3 years than a county of your size.
So knock on wood, our guys are doing things the safe way.
Correct. So that was my next point, is that there really is, shows that the safety initiatives that the county has made are really paying off.
Yeah, and that kind of just speaks to, last year Heartland did make it a requirement for all the counties to have safety committees. And so everyone has implemented that, and you have to have quarterly visits with the safety committees in order to get the 10% safety saving discount on your work comp premium. And so that helps with your premium, and then also just keeping that safety in mind and people coming together to discuss that, be aware of it, cognizant of things. Troy comes out and does his assessments, and overall those have been better. I think you still have some recommendations, and all counties do, but it's getting better each year from what he's seen. So I think he's happy with the progress that's being made, and just continue to do that. Now he'll be out at his next visit and do training for everyone. So, and then again, last year Heartland did they did act on having a variable dividend plan based on the loss ratio for the work comp. And so anything under 30% for a loss ratio, there will be return of premium, of the work comp premium, to the surplus. So, and that'll just be, so it'll be in the surplus. So that's just, again, reinforcing safety and things. And it will just be a snapshot of what it looks like at the end of the policy year. So those losses could change, but at the end of the policy period is when that will be calculated, so.
Do we know what our surplus is right now?
Not off the top of my head, I don't. I can, and again, that's about each year. We'll have that available in October. The actuary will work on that, and then at the October meeting, he will have the surplus numbers. So, and then I distribute that out then when he provides. And he'll actually come, he usually comes to the meeting, and we'll discuss that too. So, with any questions, but I can take a look at it, let you know when
I was just kind of curious.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
don't think I had it happen.
Yep, so I can give you an idea on that. And then we'll have the harassment prevention training that we have each year that Heartland requires, and we're looking at options for that. So we'll get that scheduled probably in the fall. So the board will act on that in July on the approved method. So we'll get that scheduled for the fall. And then the other thing is the Heartland Fall Seminar is going to be September 11th this year, and it will be at the Reinig Center in Toledo as it was last year. So hopefully as many people can, will make that. We're gonna probably do a similar topic to what we did last time, which went over very well, which was the generational changes in the workforce. We kind of talked about that at the last meeting. Everyone really liked that presentation and thought it would be worth giving again. Maybe there'll be a little variation, so it won't be direct repeat, but everyone really liked that. And then we'll have some safety, Troy will talk on some safety, and then we'll have some type of law review there to discuss different law changes and questions on that. So that's what we're looking at for now. So any questions? And then again, as far as the renewal, once the authorization to bind will be sent through via DocuSign, and did that go to you? No, it would have went to Rick last year, so it'll come to you this year, Tracy, because you're the chairman, right?
Yeah.
Right, but it'll come to you. So we'll send a DocuSign for you to sign in.
Well, that passed the buck was smooth.
Right? He's the one that knows about it.
So any other questions?
Yeah, any questions on the document I gave you?
Moderators, that can change and just kill your bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quick.
So that's, yes. All right, well, I appreciate you guys taking the time for us.
And just a
today.
reminder, if there's any changes to any of the exposures, you have until May 31st.
To get
To
One quick question on the inland marine coverage. Does that cover theft of tools and equipment?
that, yeah.
I've
Yes.
come across where it doesn't cover theft.
Yeah, I don't think there's a
Theft on inland marine?
It's specific, and I missed it.
Oh, yeah, I don't
And
think,
there was a claim, and it said, but all of a sudden here it says, does not cover.
oh, I don't think, I mean, we can look at the
Let me look at
coverage-
that.
The
Yeah,
coverage
I'll cover-
document again.
And it surprised me, and it's.
Because normally in an insurance policy on a construction, I mean,
Yeah, that's why you have it.
right, that's
yeah.
why you have it.
Yeah, so, yeah, I don't think there's any exclusion for that.
Oh, I thought you said, okay, I thought you were saying that, no, there's not coverage.
No, I wasn't
Okay.
saying that. No, I'm saying there.
I would think that there would be
Yeah.
coverage.
Well, I had a $6,000 claim that was denied because it's not, tools are not covered under theft.
Oh, I don't, we can take a look at
Yeah,
that.
let me take a look at that.
Coverage
That
document.
shocked me, because
Yeah.
then we had to get a specific rider, as it were.
You had to get a specific rider for.
Not for Heartland.
Not for Heartland.
Oh, okay, 'cause I'm like, what?
No, he's not talking about
This
Heartland.
is a generic question.
Yeah.
I've come across it where inland marine coverage does not cover tools and theft.
It's showing. Yeah.
So when did you send out all the property stuff to everybody?
Yeah, I was surprised.
Back in
I was gonna say, all the
February.
contractors
Yeah,
I
and I
insure.
think
That's their main.
Since we had that insurance.
Their main
meeting,
exposure.
think
I mean, I've had several of them that have had like
as far as
entire
getting
trailers of
back to
tools
us. Yeah,
stolen.
Yeah, so I think we
This is
were,
the contract
I think,
that
I don't
insured.
know that they're
All I
gonna
was
change.
waiting on was the budget, and I got that
Yeah.
turned
They
in a
broke
couple
into the
weeks ago.
house, then he was.
Yeah, so I
And we
think
found
that,
the vehicles and stuff too, so.
yeah,
Stole
yeah,
everything.
so,
And there
That
wasn't
part, I
coverage for
don't
it?
think will be changing.
Wow.
no.
It's just if anything gets
That-
added between now and.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that doesn't sound
So
right.
that's why,
Finalize the towers,
that's why now when I look
right?
at that stuff, I'm like,
Aren't we
okay.
doing partial?
I look for, to see
Yeah,
if
we're
it-
having-
Yeah, I thought she was saying no, I'm like, what do you mean? Okay, okay, you said no, there's no exclusion, got it.
Tracy,
On the towers, just to make sure for the final 911 tower thing. When it was fully finished,
Oh.
we'll let them know that too.
Okay. We're gonna have a discussion on that Thursday.
Okay.
Okay, so that'll
Will
be,
be
We're very
hopefully
close.
complete,
okay, so that'll increase then.
probably. a little
Okay.
bit,
So,
maybe.
yeah, I'll have to let Veronica know.
Okay, yeah, just do like a property.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
Okay.
now.
That That would change.
That might
Okay, gotcha.
fluctuate.
Okay, all right, well,
Use a property form even though we already have partial coverage?
Yeah, to add, I mean, you can show additional value on that, or you could just send an email too.
I can make sure we get it.
Either way, yeah.
Not just in construction.
Yeah.
Yeah, either way, yeah, just if you showed the increase, like, they'll do those types of way, add stuff to
I don't get on the
Yeah.
phone, I'm just
Either
like-
Okay.
And we'll be cross-trained in the office, so we can do that.
Yeah, so yeah, if you have any questions,
No, you're not.
Tracy's inspecting
She's a
the
good one.
gas line.
just,
Would
She'll
be
direct
nice
you on
to take
that.
down
yeah, so just,
the radio tower.
I'm available, so.
Sounds good.
All right.
Now, are you going to another county today, or?
Well, we just have to go to the landfill. We've been at Cedar, so we'll just go to the landfill, and then we'll be done for the day, so.
Good.
So
Thank
it was an
you.
early morning. Yeah, you
So
bet.
I'll have them formally approve it so that when we get that DocuSign, we can
Tracy.
authorize it.
Yep, perfect. All right,
All right,
sounds
good
good.
to see you.
Nice meeting you.
Thank
Yep, Yep, thanks.
So, yeah, if you guys want to take formal action to authorize you to sign that when you get that, because it'll come email.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
I will make a motion to authorize Tracy to sign the DocuSign document from Heartland Insurance.
I will second that motion.
Call for a vote.
Tippit, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Bull's eye.
Here we go.
Okay, got a couple things left in here.
Yeah.
DocuSign.
So that truck,
Yeah.
the walk, it come from Julie Hasinas, the clerk. She just thought since May was Mental Health Awareness Month, she was hoping maybe for a Thursday evening, either the 15th or the 22nd. And they are also trying to get the city of Benton's permission since it's public sidewalk. But they want to make sure they're covered, to see what your thoughts are to allowing the public to color on the sidewalks.
Are they gonna put it around the perimeter of the outside of the block?
Probably, yeah, yeah.
Not up by the courthouse?
Well, I guess I didn't specifically ask her way more, but
I would not have, me personally, I can't speak for these two, I would have no problem doing it on the west side from the sidewalk where it starts at the curb up to, almost up to the main doors. That's my opinion.
just don't get it up at the main, that could
Yeah.
probably track in and out too.
Correct.
Check the track.
I can make sure they know that.
Give them a
Okay.
couple of blocks space.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that also.
Okay.
Yes, I have a problem.
Okay. I mean, she just wanted to get like a,
And I was
Before
assuming
they-
it would be, oh, where did I read something about that? Was that something through Abby?
yes, I think we had emails on
I
that.
think I just read that.
It was just kind of something, they were thinking of some fun ideas for that. Just to bring awareness.
It doesn't last long, first rain.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
Okay, I'll let her know.
all right. I think that was the last one, wasn't it? Reports.
Oh, you guys know what happened to my meeting?
Yep.
I did do one of the town hall meetings last week on the changing of the mental health system. They went over in fairly good detail their covering of the core services of mental health. And then they did talk about honoring some contracts.
We need to probably talk to Ray on that, don't we?
Yeah, that may go into the next fiscal year.
For the regions itself.
Yes.
Because I talked to another county that their attorney advised them to dissolve theirs. But
And that was brought up at the last, who's done it?
Jones, I think, is.
Jones, maybe Buchanan or Delaware. Basically a letter withdrawing us from the region. And that, because it's gonna be done. And I don't know if it, because Deb is with,
Correct, but my
Buchanan.
concern would be if we do that too soon, would that eliminate us from getting our final reimbursement?
make sure we get our reimbursement.
I don't know how soon that had to be done.
That's probably something we should have
Mhm.
Ray look at.
Just when I was riding with another auditor yesterday to that funeral, we were discussing some stuff.
That takes care of last time.
Oh, yeah. So, I can talk to you. That one, the city of, or Belle Plaine Schools they built a house but through the schools or something.
Mhm.
And so you can see the value on this house, but something they want to abate it. But I think if they go to sell it, they're gonna get money off the property. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that? I guess he's kinda, I don't wanna keep passing him around. He's talked with the assessor, he talked with the treasurer. So it fell in my lap at this point. I mean, you can look into it. It's nothing on the agenda right now, but if you look at how it was partially assessed currently, but the assessment obviously is gonna increase quite significantly. So it's owned by the school, but yet it's a property that they're gonna sell.
You didn't get it?
I just printed it yesterday, it just come to my attention,
Okay,
so.
okay.
I just didn't wanna forget to bring it up.
So the school bought the property?
Well, the
They
school-
tore built a house.
Yeah,
They built
yeah.
a house on it?
Yeah.
But they used it as an educational thing, correct?
Tend to teach
Yeah.
the kids how to
Build.
like to build and maybe get some interest in it, yeah.
Give you an address there, Bruce?
Should be on the Beacon printout.
707 7th Street. Well, that's them.
That's the.
Parcel ID, property address is 1207 16th Street.
Okay, drove past it the other day.
Is that on the,
It's on the north side of town.
closer to the golf course in that area?
It's a little west of there.
A little west?
This is the one where the ball fell in on?
That's kind of just under new business, I don't know how you want to proceed on something like that.
That's quite a house, though. Wow.
Let me see, make sure it's the one I noticed and wondered who did it. That one is by the golf course.
Wednesday, is this
1207,
Sunday?
yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, when you go up towards the golf course, just look to the west.
To the
you'll see
west
it
up there, okay.
Yeah, I used to live 2 blocks from there.
Well, tax bill is 1,600, right? Be interesting how much they got listed for.
Yeah, I don't know, I think it's just probably getting in that process.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because if you abate it, then we're not gonna have, when they go to do their closing, I don't know if they're gonna prorate it or how they're gonna do it. But they're asking us to abate it.
As long as the school owns it. Then when they sell it, it goes on the tax rolls.
I don't know if somebody wants to talk to Larry on that, maybe, I don't know what your thoughts are, but, because the values are always the prior year, so it did have value.
Was there an existing home or was it a vacant lot?
It was, they bought the lot, so that had value prior to them tearing down and stuff, so I think that's just trying to catch up
Okay.
with what was old value to the new.
Why don't you put it on the agenda next week?
To discuss it.
Yep. And I'll talk to Larry. you guys are okay with that.
Because I'm pretty sure they've reached out to him too.
They're gonna do this on a
I don't
regular
know.
basis then? Is it gonna be part of their
I
curriculum?
didn't, I just didn't even know about it.
All, most of the schools did this.
Yeah.
Bend Community did it.
Hmm.
They don't do it in work, of course, but.
I never heard of it.
Yeah, Bend Community, I think they built probably 3 or 4 houses over the years in Van Horn there, on the east end. You know, and then it got smaller where they were doing, garages or outbuildings, tool sheds.
It's getting kids involved in the trades though, I mean, it's,
Yeah, because you read employment reports and the trades are suffering.
yeah, they're hurting bad.
Yeah, 'cause like I said, it's been, when Trevor was in high school, that I ran around with the crew over there in Duval, they built a stall and half garage, you know, and I just is an overseer. You know,
Right.
The kids did the work and, you know, worked out good.
Cedar Rapids schools had that going on back in the day, but I don't know if they still do that. Or maybe we'll start to see it fired back up again.
That Habitat for Humanity, don't some of them go and volunteer with that too?
That I don't know.
I would think they could do that through the school. It'd be
That would also be great.
a good experience.
Mhm.
I know churches and stuff do that.
Well, I think we're done, ain't we?
I think so.
Okay. I would call for a adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
All right, all in favor?
Tip it up.